Welcome everyone to the Wednesdays at One show. I am so excited to have everyone here. I know that every week I say we have an incredible show, and that's because I believe that every single week we have an incredible show. But when I say it this week, I mean it in a special way because I have a great friend here who's going to be doing a cooking demo for us. But before we get going, I just want to reconnect with my audience a little bit. I mean, we've had about 5 or 6 Wednesdays in the year 2021. And if I had to characterize the Wednesdays in this year, I'd say the eyes have it, right? Because we've had an insurrection, we've had an inauguration, and we have had an impeachment, all on Wednesdays this year. So Wednesdays are getting crowded, and it's ironic because I chose Wednesdays at 1, because I figure it's the middle of the week, it's the middle of the day, there's not a lot going on, there's not a big cross section, but here we are. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I want to extend an invitation to anyone. If you're interested in doing a show, if you have something you want to talk about, if there's something you want to highlight or showcase, bring it to the Wednesdays at One show. I'd love to have you on. So, with that in mind, I'd like to introduce you to a really good friend of mine. Her name is Sudathip Raxajak, and she is going to be cooking for us today. And I'm really, really, really excited to have her. Sudi, welcome to the Wednesdays at One show. How are you today?
Everyone doing this fine Wednesday afternoon? How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. I want you to just say, I asked you how you're doing. Just tell me one more time. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Okay. I want to thank you for being here. And before we get into the demo, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I know we haven't really gone over this, but I just want to kind of hear your thoughts on some things.
Okay.
The first thing is how long have you been cooking?
How long have I been cooking for? Since I was a teenager, I've definitely have improved my culinary skills since then. I definitely love to experiment with new recipes. So probably since 14.
Okay. And the only other thing I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to have you speak up a little bit because I know you're a little bit a ways away from the camera. So just speak up a little bit.
Okay.
So you said you've been...
I will do that. Sorry. Is that better?
Yeah, better. You said you've been cooking since 14.
Yes.
And I know that your mom is an excellent cook as well. I know that in your culture, food is a very, very important element. So could you first tell us about your culture and tell us a little bit about how food fits into your culture?
My parents immigrated from Laos back in 1978, so I'm Laotian. For us, it's always about food because that's what brings us all together. And it's just a great way to get together with friends, loved ones. It's a great way to show your appreciation for them by just putting your heart into cooking. And as far as my culture, we eat a lot of sticky rice. I don't know if some of your audience or viewers have had sticky rice, but it's definitely a staple in the Lao cooking. My mom does a lot of homemade sauces. She'll do like a tomato sauce with a lot of, Thai chili pepper and some other ingredients that I'm not really sure what she puts in there, but it's definitely worth trying out. If you like spicy food, Lao food is definitely something that's spicy. Um, yeah.
Okay, that's great. I know that you enjoy a great meal. I also know you are an excellent cook. And as we get going and we start to do our demo, I want to encourage everybody who's out there watching. I want you to chime in with a great comment or a question. I know that Sudi is a little bit nervous, so if you give her some encouragement, I know that those nerves are going to just melt away for her. And so, thank you guys. I see Lynn says hi. Thank you for tuning in, Lynn. Laura, thank you so much for tuning in today. Laura, we're going to talk about you a little bit later because we're using your olive oil in our recipe. Yeah, Sudi, could you hold up that bottle for us? I love this. I love this olive oil. I love that we're using it in today's cooking demo. And we appreciate you, Laura, for tuning in today. And of course, my guy, Sean, thank you so much for tuning in today, all the way from Las Vegas. So it's early morning there. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone who's watching today. Thank you so much for being here. And Laura, yes, she says, hi to you, Sudi. Looking forward to seeing your creation. So
Thank you.
that brings us to the creation. What exactly are we doing today?
Today, I'm going to make a mushroom and kale lasagna roll up with a cauliflower Alfredo sauce.
That sounds delish. Now we know that the Alfredo doesn't make it vegan, but it's definitely okay for vegetarians. Is that right?
It is, absolutely. You can make it vegan by, eliminating the cheese and the milk and replacing it with nutritional yeast.
Oh, okay. All
Hmm.
right. Good to know. Good to know.
Yes.
So basically, there are some sets of ingredients. Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit about what goes into, say, the mushroom portion of it?
Well, the mushroom mixture will also have kale. I'm also going to put some onions and garlic, some fresh thyme as well. And then we're going to use 2 tablespoons of butter, which I guess, let me start. Should I just start cooking?
Go ahead. Go for it.
So basically, you want to melt the butter in like a medium high heat, medium to high heat. Sorry. So I'm going to let that warm up. And I'm just going to peel this off. I also wanted to say too, if you don't like kale, you can also use spinach. You can use fresh spinach or frozen spinach, or Swiss chard as well.
Okay. And I also know that you can use olive oil if you don't want to use butter. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
I will be using the olive oil in the sauce, the cauliflower sauce though.
Okay. And I just want to let you know you're doing great. You're getting all this great support out here. Sean says, no nerves on this show, just
I'm
knowledge.
sorry, guys.
Sean, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And Lynn, our good friend, don't be nervous. We're here for you. Yum. So we're looking forward to this. I have to say, one of the things that I regret the most is that I'm not going to be there to eat this creation because it looks amazing. But I know you're going to do an incredible job. And my great friend Andy, wowza Sudi, you have a gorgeous kitchen. You actually really do. I'm envious of this kitchen. So
Thank
we're
you.
excited to see what you're going to do in there. So go ahead,
Thank
keep
you.
going, lady.
All right. So I'm still letting this heat up. So let me just put it on high so that it'll get warm. And bring this over. So Eric, do you like to cook?
I don't know if what I do is really considered cooking. I fry stuff in pans and I put a lot of ingredients into one pot and mix it around, whether it's pasta or stew or soup, or if I can just put it onto a pan and put it in the oven. That's really sort of the extent of my cooking. And I don't know if I say I like it. I like to eat. I know that part is true. The
We all do.
cooking part, I'm not so sure about. I'm basically hit or miss.
Well, that's good. At least you attempt to try, right?
I do attempt to try. That's a perfect. That's literally a perfect way of putting it. I attempt to try. Andy, thank you. Um, we're all wishing we were in the kitchen with Sudi. Sudi knows her way around the kitchen, Andy. So we so appreciate your well wishes.
I love the smell of butter, especially when it's cooking. So that is about to melt. I'm gonna put some garlic in there. So this dish actually has three components to it. You have the mixture, the mushroom and kale mixture. You also have the cauliflower sauce, and then the lasagna.
Okay,
I think Eric has that broken down.
I do.
Okay.
So Andy, thank you. You're right. The best thing I make for dinner is reservations. And you know what, Laura? I think we all are feeling that way right now too. I wish I had the smell option on my computer as well. But we'll have to live with what we have for today.
All right. So I just put the onion. Now I'm throwing in the kale. It feels like it's a lot of kale, but it's certainly gonna cook down.
Sudi, let me ask you. You make a lot of choices when you're making a meal like this. Is there a certain type of mushroom that you like? Can it be a medley of mushrooms?
You can use a medley of mushrooms if that's your preference. I prefer mini the baby Bella mushrooms.
And what do you prefer for pasta?
Barilla.
Okay.
Although I do want to learn how to make my own pasta, so hopefully I can achieve that this year.
Okay. I like that. I like that. So I'm just reminding everyone right now of the mushroom mixture for ingredients.
And I actually just did this wrong, guys. So it's supposed to be the mushrooms first, not the kale. So I'm sorry. That's my nerves.
Now I can see that my cooking influence is already rubbing off on you, where the first thing you do,
But it's okay. You
it's
know.
all right. That's the thing, right? That's the beauty of this,
Yeah,
right? It's okay.
definitely.
Lynn says she loves kale. I wish we could all be hanging out with a glass of wine. Now you're talking my language, Lynn.
Yes.
I wish that we were all hanging out too. And maybe in the future Wednesdays at 1 will be maybe in person. Maybe we'll all get together in Sudi's kitchen and do a big show there because the layout of your kitchen, I don't know if people realize it, but it's so big, it's so open, it's so conducive to group activities. You could have a whole party just in your kitchen.
That's true. So now I'm putting in the mushrooms. Just a little bit more. I mean, you guys can follow the recipe as is, but I like to just put a little twist on it.
Mm-hmm.
So have you ever had this type of dish before, Eric?
You know what? I love mushrooms, and I'm actually a big fan of kale too. But if you told me I'm just gonna saute some mushrooms and kale, I would eat it. I mean, I love those ingredients so much, and they're really good for you.
They
But I've
are.
never had this particular combination with the roll up and the cheese sauce and everything put together. And I know that if I try to make it, it looks a little bit delicate in its execution. So I'm glad I'm not making it. I'm glad that my heavy hands aren't trying to roll up these things. But I'm really excited about the outcome of this. I love all the ingredients, so I know that I would love the outcome.
You definitely would.
And I just want to say a special hello to Mrs. Dolores Tucker. I don't even like to say her first name, Dolores, because she's been Mrs. Tucker to me all of my life. But she said she's so proud. Keep up the good work like this show. Thank you so much, Mrs. Tucker. I'm so glad you are tuning in today. It really means a lot. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And Sean says, from music, wine, business, relationships, and now a cooking show. Man, perfect timing. Thank you. He always calls me perfect timing, which means he hasn't spent a lot of time with me because my timing isn't always perfect. But you know what? I love doing this show. I love the variety in this show. And that's why I was saying at the beginning, if people have something that they want to talk about on this show, it's an open format. There's nothing off limits. We've done wine, we've done COVID, I've had an author, I've had just all types of people come on. It's all over the place, but in a good way. And I want to make sure I say hello to my very good friend, Andy. It's lunchtime. My stomach is growling. Thanks, Eric. And Andy, I know Andy is a world traveler. He's a connoisseur of fine things, right? He's much younger than me, but he's someone that I kind of want to be like when I grow up. He always has such exquisite taste. He's actually a fashion designer, so he has all of these. He has a very fine eye for great things. So I'm so glad you're here today, Andy. I really appreciate you tuning in. I know people are working. I know people are doing all kinds of things. And, I appreciate you guys being here. And my man, DJ Ruckus, a Wednesdays at 1 show alum when I did my DJ show. Ruckus, thank you so much for being here today. The feed looks good. Thank you. We try really hard to make a good show. That's part of why we do the show. We want people to see what's possible in a feed, right? And Andy Lyons says hello to Andy Jack. And for all of you aspiring entrepreneurs out there, Andy and Andy, they team up for something called Founders Live Boston. It's an entrepreneurial show. You okay in there, Sudi?
I had to grab another cutting board. I'm sorry.
It's an entrepreneurial pitch contest. They do it every quarter. They are the MCs, they are the hosts, they procure the entrepreneurs. And it's really great to have both Andy and AJ, as we call AJ at Founders Live. Great to have you both here today. Thank you so much. I know you guys are busy. You guys have your own endeavors. So to get you for a couple of minutes in the middle of the day, I really appreciate you guys being here.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so I added the thyme to the mixture, and I also added some wine to it as well. So that is all set, and now I'm just mixing together the ricotta cheese and some fresh grated Parmesan that I did earlier today.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, now you said something about a vegan alternative, right, to the
Yes.
cheese part, right? Talk to
Yeah.
me a little bit about that.
Um, I have quite a few friends that are vegan actually, so anytime we get together, I try to think of something veganish that they can eat. But it's instead of putting or using cheese, you use a nutritional yeast. It's like a flaky, um, I don't even know what you would call it, but just it's flaky. I actually have some if you want me to pull some out.
No, we'll stay with the plan, but you know what?
Okay.
It's something that maybe I'll put into the notes. Like, oh, by the way, that's an excellent reminder. Thank you, Sudi. Um, for anybody who wants this recipe, just let me know because I have all the elements here. I can send it to you, or I can send you a link, or you can just watch the video. If someone you know maybe would be interested in making this, send them the video after the show. The show lives on my Facebook page. It lives on my YouTube. It even stays on Twitch for I think about a week. I'm not sure how long Twitch holds on to things, but it's not forever like YouTube or Facebook. So definitely for everybody who's here today, make sure you make a note to visit me every Wednesday at 1 right here, wherever you're watching me. But also share the link with people that may be interested in a given topic. I mean, I don't know anyone who's not interested in food. And I can't help to notice, but Sudi, you have a nice bottle of wine there right in the middle of your table. So it looks like this would be a perfect pairing with a nice white wine. And or maybe you just keep wine close by no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, that's it. That is it.
So Sean asked, where can we find more of Sudi's recipes? Well, let me just tell you, Sudi is an excellent follower of recipes. But I know that a lot like her mom, a lot of it is feel, a lot of it is taste, a lot of it is kind of experimenting, using the recipe kind of like a template, but really kind of putting your own spin on it. But I'll tell you what, Sean, if there's a recipe that Sudi comes up with that I think you'll like, I'm going to send it to you. A lot like Andy, who I was talking about earlier, Andy Jack, AJ, Sean, my friend Sean, he is a connoisseur of all things high end. He lives in Las Vegas.
Love that.
He's an ultimate sports fan, and he he's a collector of cars. He's a collector of memorabilia. He's like a renaissance guy, so I appreciate him, and he knows that the wine is essential. And yeah, I know your taste, Sean. Again, Sean is somebody who's much younger than me, but I always look up to him, mainly because he's about 6'5" and knows how to ball out too. He's not just some tall, gangly guy. He knows how to ball. So, Sean, I always appreciate you being in the show. One of my most loyal and consistent viewers, and I appreciate that. But I appreciate everybody here. Everybody who comes in on a Wednesday, I appreciate you. I thank you. What do we have going on right now, Sudi?
So right now I'm just spreading the ricotta onto the lasagna roll, and then I'm adding the mushroom and kale mixture to it,
Okay.
and then I'm just rolling it.
So what I'm going to ask you to do is go ahead and roll one,
Yep.
and then maybe take it and put it where the pan is so we can see it a little bit closer.
The pan over by the stovetop.
The pan, you can do either the pan next to the
Oh,
stove
over here.
top or there. Yep.
Okay. Some of these didn't cook they kind of fell apart. So I'm just going to try to pick the ones that aren't so falling apart.
And this is one of the great things about this show. This brings people together. Sean and Andy Jack, they're going to link up the next time he's in Vegas. I don't even know if they know each other, but you know what? I'll make the introduction because that's what we do here on the Wednesdays at One show. And, two good guys, two guys who can sit around and probably drink a nice bourbon or whiskey, puff on a cigar, talk about the finer things in life. And I can just dream about being as cool as these guys. But yeah, I want you guys to link up if you see someone in the chat or you want to know. I mean, right now I have two entrepreneurial gurus. I have a fitness guru. I have a boss DJ. I have a childhood mother-like figure to me, and I have a really good friend who is a dental hygienist. They're all in this chat right now, and I know those people because they're putting in their comments. But these are people from all walks of life, doing all kinds of things, and we are brought together. We're brought together in the name of food. So, Sudi, I have to thank you for providing the food that brings us together virtually.
Oh, you're welcome. You are so welcome. What I'm also going to do while I'm doing this kind of multitask, I need to start on the cauliflower. So I'm going to melt. I'm going to actually put some butter, saute some garlic first in olive oil, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. So I'm going to read off the ingredients for the cauliflower sauce. Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely. Please do.
So it's a tablespoon of zaze olive oil, or you could use butter. I recommend the zaze. 2 cloves of garlic chopped, 6 cups of cauliflower, or 1 small head, or a 12-ounce bag, 2 cups vegetable broth or water, half cup gorgonzola or other blue cheese, salt and pepper to taste, and a half cup milk. Did I get that right?
Yes, that's correct. All right.
And I want to make sure that I say hello to my really good friend Josephine. Hi, Eric. Hi, Sudi. Looks great so far. I'm getting hungry. I'm going to get a show. I'm going to make a show with Sudi and Josephine in the kitchen because
definitely.
I know you two to be outstanding cooks. I can do the eating. You can do the cooking. I'll also do a little bit of the drinking.
You'll provide the wine.
And I'll let you guys handle the food because both of you guys really are outstanding in the kitchen. So, Josephine, thank you so much for tuning in.
All right. So now
Looks delicious. Good job, Sudi.
What?
You are getting so much love in the chats right now.
Thanks, everyone.
I want to tell you guys that Sudi can't see the screen, but I'm just letting her know that you guys are really there rooting her on, and we appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, so now I'm going to throw in the cauliflower, and then it's 2 cups of broth or water you could use if you didn't want to use broth. Sheesh. That was a little bit of a spillage, sorry.
It happens to everyone. Happens to everyone.
All right. Okay.
Shu, you are invited to every show that I do. He wants to be at the Josie and Sudi cooking show that I just made up right now.
I'm gonna just use my bare hands, so I'm not gonna put on the gloves.
Okay.
I was trying to be mindful of, Corona, but it doesn't matter because I think I'll be the one eating this.
I mean, I know that there are some new exotic strains of corona. I don't think anything can be transmitted virtually, no, yet.
Yeah. Well, I did get my second vaccination, so I think I might be okay.
All right. Good for you.
All right, so I'm continuing to add the mixture to the lasagna roll, or the lasagna. Just use my hands.
Okay, so I'm doing the cauliflower sauce now, but now let me do the directions for the lasagna. Lay the noodles out. Spread
Yep.
a thin layer of ricotta mixed
Well,
with the
you want to
parmesan.
cook the lasagna first before you. I'm just saying.
I love it. You do really know how bad of a cook I am if you had to make sure that.
It's nothing against you. I'm just reminding everyone that you want to make sure you boil the pasta first.
Thank you. I want to say hello to LeMay. I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, please forgive me. First time here, loving it. Thank you, Laura, for inviting me. Laura, thank you. LeMay, welcome. We're so happy to have you here. Sean says, welcome to LeMay. See, we're all friends in here. It's very friendly in the Wednesdays at One show. And we appreciate that.
How much time do I have?
You have as much time as you need, lady. We're about 30 minutes in.
Okay. I was just curious.
Tell me what you're doing right now.
I'm just continuing to do the lasagna roll.
Okay. So let me get back to those directions, right? So first, as you said, cook the lasagna, cook the noodle, right? Lay it out. Spread a thin layer of ricotta mixed with Parmesan onto each lasagna noodle.
Right?
Top with mushroom mixture and a tablespoon of the cauliflower sauce and roll up the noodles. Spread a half cup of cauliflower sauce around the bottom of a 9 by 9 inch baking dish. Place the lasagna roll-ups in, top with 1.5 cups of the cauliflower sauce. Bake in a preheated 350-degree oven until golden brown on top and bubbling on the sides. About 25 to 30 minutes.
That's correct.
Okay, very nice.
Well, the Alfredo sauce or the cauliflower sauce, I'm sorry, we're in the process of making that. So.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm concentrating, and when I concentrate, I stop talking.
No, we want you to concentrate, and I'm showing the people. I should tell you, I'm showing the people the ingredients for the cauliflower, the directions that go along with the cauliflower. So people are kind of seeing everything that's going on. And now I'm showing the cauliflower that's cooking. So guys, I just wanted to remind you that Sudi can't see the feed because she's cooking and doing everything. So sometimes I'm just going to let her cook. Sometimes I'm going to show some of the directions and everything like that. But I'm glad that you guys are staying with us. Sudi is doing an amazing job. I don't want her to hear me, but she was a little bit nervous today. And she wanted to change some things. Of course, 1 minute before the show started, I was like, no, this is what we got to go with. So I want us to continue to encourage her. She's doing an incredible job. Take it from me, guys. She is an amazing cook. She really is.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that.
And here's a perfect, Sean, as you want to talk about perfect timing, you know what? I'm going to attempt to make the lasagna rolls for Karina on Valentine's Day.
Oh,
Thanks.
yay.
And that's an excellent, excellent point, right? We can do these things for our loved ones instead of going out to a restaurant or a bar or being in a crowded place on Valentine's Day. Traditionally, the Valentine's holiday is the busiest time for a restaurant. So, given everything that's going on with the virus, maybe you don't want to do that. And for me, I'll speak for myself personally. One of the most sort of loving and intimate things that you can do for someone is make a meal for them. Whenever I get a good home cooked meal, someone has put their own love and attention into a meal for me, I just feel like that's the ultimate expression of caring. So for you guys, here's a perfect opportunity to have a new recipe, incorporate it into your collection of recipes, and maybe make it for a loved one. Um, Valentine's Day is Sunday, I believe. So here's a perfect opportunity to learn a new recipe just in time for Valentine's.
That's a great idea. I have to wash my hands.
Thank you, Laura, because otherwise I wouldn't know what was going on. If I didn't put the directions up, believe me, I could not tell you one thing that's happening right now. And you're right, cooking is always fun and rewarding. And I knew that once Sudi got into her natural habitat and doing the things that she knows how to do, she would be just fine.
So it's still taking a couple minutes for the cauliflower to soften. I think I need a glass of wine. Just kidding. So that's still cooking.
So I'm going to tell everyone for the cauliflower, right? Melt the butter in the pan over medium heat. Add garlic and saute until fragrant, about a minute. Add the cauliflower and broth. Bring to a boil.
Yep.
Reduce the heat and simmer, covered until fork tender, about 8 to 10 minutes. And return to heat. Mix the cheese. Season with salt and pepper to taste. Add enough milk to bring sauce to a saucy consistency and cook until the cheese has melted.
Sounds right.
And I think the thing that I liked the most about that was saying the words saucy consistency. I think that those are words that I could use to describe you, Sudi.
Oh, really? Thank you. Should I take that as a compliment?
Yes, it was intended as such.
Okay.
And so, guys, just in case you're tuning in or you're not sure, we're working on the cauliflower right now. And that is, of course, made even all the more delicious with a tablespoon of Zazé olive oil. So we want to thank Laura for donating some Zazé to the show today. We appreciate that. Sudi, if you could hold up the bottle when you have a moment, we'd love to see it.
Which camera do you want it? On this
Yep.
one?
You can bring it there, yep.
So,
you know what? Try the other camera. Let's see how the other camera looks. Ah, yes. Very good. Very, very good. So that's Zazé. That's my very good friend, Laura. She was so kind to donate that to today's show, and we are super excited about it using it. And I know that in talking with her, she tells me that this olive oil, a lot like the wine, is something that you open up and you allow it to aerate before you use it. So a lot like a wine, you give it some time. You open it, let it sort of develop into what it's going to be, its full self, and then you use it. And when she was telling me that, I was like, wow, this is something that's really unique in that sense. I've never heard of that, but that's the quality and the level of this olive oil, not something that maybe you think you can just throw in here or there. This is a true ingredient that we're using. And LeMay, I love Zaze, the best. I only use Zaze. Thank you, LeMay. That's good to know. I get the feeling that Laura has created a Zaze epidemic in my house. I'm going to have more bottles, I predict, in the future coming to my house. And then I will immediately probably ship out to someone who can actually use it in the way it's supposed to be used. And Lynn says, I love the name. I will need to get some. Lynn, get some. It's amazing. And LeMay, she actually says, I'm Moroccan. I grew up eating and using olive oil, so I know a thing or two about Zaze, the EVOO. Yes, it is extra virgin olive oil at its finest. And I know it kind of sounds like I'm doing a commercial. I'm really not. This is something that, you know, as I was saying earlier about my friend Andy Jack and all my friends, really, you guys have such exquisite taste. That's something that I take away from everybody here that I know. You guys have incredible taste. You know what you're talking about. And so when I can bring something that I think will meet your standards to the table, then that's what I'm going to do. And that's really what this Zaze is. It's the best extra virgin olive oil out there. Plus, when you buy Zaze, you're supporting female farmers who harvest the special olives for this delicious cold pressed olive oil. See, now that's a level of detail that's really important, right? If you're someone who cares about labor conditions, if you're someone who is inclined to do business with women owned and women produced products and services, Zaze checks all of those boxes. Plus, it's an excellent olive oil. So it's a win-win-win for everybody. And that's when you know you're on the right track with a product, a new product that maybe you haven't tried or you haven't heard. Yes, I agree, Lynn. I love that. I love it. And that's something that makes a difference to me. It's something that I think should make a difference to everybody, but everybody's different in how they do their business. But if I have a choice on how to spend my money, I'm going to do it with like-minded people in terms of their attention and their willingness to do work with women-owned businesses who practice safe and fair and equitable business practices. Laura, thank you. We appreciate your contribution to the show today. And we can't wait to see where Zaze goes in the future, because I predict that it's going to go far.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Let it rip. So tell us what you're doing right there.
So I let the cauliflower soften, and I added it to the food processor, and I'm just pureeing it up. So now I'm just going to return it back to the burner.
And I just want to remind everybody, if you want this recipe, I have it, I can share it, and I can't wait to see. And if you take the recipe and you make it, you're going to have to send me a picture, and I'll put it up. I'll put it up on a future Wednesdays at One show or somewhere so that people can see it. Maybe we'll revisit Sudi in her kitchen at some point down the road.
Definitely. And hopefully I won't be as nervous this time. Second time.
Randy, I appreciate you. I hope everyone is appreciating all the different camera angles Eric is using to capture these extraordinary culinary skills. I really appreciate that. I know that Sudi is an extraordinary cook, so I had to make sure that I could do everything possible to bring her story to the Wednesdays at One show. So I appreciate you even noticing that, Andy. And we're learning about LeMay from Laura. She created Queen of Spice, exotic spices for cooking. LeMay would be perfect for your show. Well, as I started off saying at the very beginning, anybody who has a story to tell, they are welcome on the Wednesdays at One show.
I just added the milk. And I added the gorgonzola. There were still some pieces that didn't. Puree those up there. I wish everyone could smell this. It just smells amazing.
So, Sudi, tell us, what about this particular recipe caught your eye?
The kale. The cauliflower sauce. I've always been wanting to do more with the cauliflower. And when I saw this on Pinterest, actually, I thought to myself, I've got to get the recipe.
Well, you said the magic word for Andy Lyons. Andy Lyons is a Pinterest demon.
I love Pinterest.
She is always talking to me about Pinterest.
It's great. I get a lot of my recipes actually from Pinterest, believe it or not.
Lynn, thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. And we'll hopefully see you on future Wednesdays. I always appreciate you coming in, as is the case with all of my guests. Thank you so much for coming in. And same with Sean. I always try to tune in every Wednesday for 1 hour, no matter what the topic of the day. I always feel more knowledgeable in that area. So thank you again, Sudi. Thank you, Sean, for coming in and being a consistent viewer. I really appreciate it. And going back to LeMay, she's thanking Laura. I'd love to share a Moroccan dish if you like. Wow, now we're getting somewhere. So we're gonna have, I can tell you, on a very special future edition of the Wednesdays at One show, we're gonna bring you a Moroccan dish. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much, LeMay. Thank you so much, Laura.
That sounds delicious.
Mark your calendars for February 23rd at 1 p.m. The Pinterest marketing expert is joining me on Andy's show. So Andy does an incredible show. It's called the Startup Live Show. And it's on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. So 1 p.m. is the magic hour. That means you can watch Andy on Tuesday, you can watch me on Wednesday, and you can watch Andy again on Thursday. That's a beautiful, beautiful combination right there. You are so right, Laura. Andy Lines is amazing and inspiring, and I'm glad that she's introduced us. It's incredible. I'm sorry, Tuesdays and Fridays for Andy's show. I really apologize. Tuesdays and Fridays. The irony is that I think when Andy decided to do Tuesdays and Fridays, she talked to me and we said, "Oh yeah, Tuesdays and Fridays are the perfect day." I'm so sorry. Tuesdays and Friday. The link is in the chat. Thank you guys. I want you guys to watch Andy's show. If you've ever thought about even being an entrepreneur, you're going to see people who are at all stages of the entrepreneurial journey on her show. And she's going to give you incredible advice.
All right. Let me. Okay. So I'm just spreading the cauliflower sauce over the rolls. And I should have actually put a layer on the bottom of the pan, but I already had the rolls in the pan and I wasn't about to take them out. So it's okay. I'm improvising. Okay.
Thank you, Sean. I want you to really get the benefit of Andy's expertise. I know you've done some endeavors in the past. You may even be doing some now out there in Vegas, but um, Andy Lyons is always a good listen. It's a good way to just get information, and it's a great way to actually really be inspired. So right now, let's see here. So you have laid the lasagna noodles out, spread a thin layer. You added a half cup of cauliflower sauce around the bottom. You didn't do that. But you're going to bake this whole thing at 350 for 25 to 30 minutes.
That's correct.
Okay. So we know, just for anyone who's still watching, we're not going to sit around for 25 or 30 minutes and watch it bake. She's going to bake it, but we're going to show you a finished product. But she's going to actually put that one in the oven, and then we will magically have one that's been already pre-baked that we'll show to everyone.
Yes. I really like to add a lot of cheese, as you can see. I'm just. All right. So this will go into the oven at 350, like you said, for 25 to about 30 minutes. And then this is the finished product here. It looks a little different from the one I just put in because I used vegetable stock instead of vegetable broth, so the color was a little darker. That's hot. Okay.
Can you hold it up to the camera right there next to you?
To this?
Yep. Looks incredible. Very nice.
Yes. Thank you. I was going to actually put some fresh thyme on there.
Move it back towards the oven a little bit.
Is that good?
Yes. Alyssa, yes. Do you need to cook? You do need to cook. And we can't wait to see what the results are. So we appreciate you watching, and we want you cooking. That's the whole point. Even if you don't cook this exact dish, we want you to be inspired to cook.
Definitely.
So as we begin to wrap up, I want to say, first of all, thank you so much, Sudi. Sean says it looks delicious. Laura says it looks delicious. You have been an amazing host and cook for us today. I want people to know that this is Sudathip Raxajak. She's been our cooking host today. She's a great friend of mine, and I'm so thankful. Josephine says, looks delicious. Thanks for sharing the recipe. And I want to thank you again, Sudi, for an incredible, incredible show.
You're welcome.
I've had so much fun here having you with me on the Wednesdays at 1 show. I want to thank all of my guests, all of my visitors who are like guests, all of my viewers. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. As I said, the holiday is coming up, Valentine's Day. It's a perfect opportunity to make something special for that special someone. And here's a great place to start. Before I say goodbye, I'm going to ask you, Sudi, to hold up the Zazé one more time. That's an incredible extra virgin olive oil. And I want you guys to go ahead and find it online and try it out. Thank you so much, Laura, for providing that. Thank you, Sudi, for using it.
Yes.
I'm going to say at this point, goodbye to our guests. Goodbye to our viewers. We're going to be back next week on the Wednesdays at 1 show. I'm not even really sure exactly what the show is going to be, but we'll figure it out between now and then. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next Wednesday at 1.